she was smiling. By morning she'd be dead. Lady Vanessa Worthington sat at the main table. Her gown was green, and she wore expensive jewellery. She was talking confidently and laughing at times. Her husband, Sir Reginald, was seated next to her. He wasn't smiling. Across the room, Clarence Harrow watched them. He wasn't drinking, his glass full, but his attention stayed on Vanessa. Poirot sat at a table near the side, Hastings beside him. Poirot didn't speak. He was watching the movement between people, his eyes fixed. "Quiet," Hastings said softly. "Everyone seems to know each other here." Poirot replied, "They are pretending to be relaxed, but their behaviour is careful." Lady Eleanor Fairfax entered. Later, she greeted Vanessa politely, her voice calm, but her face stiff. Vanessa responded with a short nod. A waiter passed by, with a tray. Vanessa took a drink, her hand steady. Poirot leaned slightly forward. He noticed something small, a note, folded and placed, beneath Vanessa's napkin. She did it quickly. Clarence Harrow saw it too. He looked down immediately, but his jaw tightened. Sir Reginald adjusted his cufflink. He did not speak to Vanessa. Hastings whispered, "There's tension on that table." Poirot nodded once. "Yes." Vanessa raised her glass and made a short toast. Her words were simple. "To the voyage." People at nearby tables raised their glasses. It was brief and quiet. Poirot kept his eyes on the napkin. He said to Hastings, "That note will not stay hidden for long. Some people talk softly, their eyes don't." Sir Reginald was holding his glass, but he wasn't drinking from it. His hand rested near the stem, fingers tapping lightly. Vanessa leaned closer to him and spoke in a quiet tone. Her face didn't look amused. Clarence Harrow shifted in his seat nearby. He was listening. He didn't look over, but his expression tightened. Poirot watched carefully. His eyes moved from Vanessa's face to Clarence's hands, and then to Reginald's foot, which tapped twice before going still. Lady Eleanor stood behind Vanessa now, a wine glass in hand. "Vanessa," she said, "your necklace is lovely, quite the statement." Vanessa didn't smile. "It belonged to my grandmother," she said. "The real statement is how long it has lasted." Eleanor's eyes narrowed slightly. Then she turned away. Reginald finally spoke. His tone was quiet. "You're being difficult." Vanessa answered without looking at him. "You made your choices. I've made mine." Clarence leaned forward. His voice was sharper. "We should talk, Vanessa, before it's too late." Vanessa didn't respond at first. Then she said slowly, clearly, "There's nothing more to discuss. The terms are final." Clarence's grip tightened on his glass. Poirot noticed it tilt slightly. Not enough to spill, just enough to reflect tension. Hastings leaned toward Poirot. "They're all tense." Poirot nodded once. "Yes," he replied. "That's the second warning tonight." Vanessa pushed her chair back a little. She motioned to the waiter, asked for a refill, but she didn't touch the new drink when it came. Poirot made a mental note. The table fell into silence. Several minutes passed. Then Vanessa stood, walked to the side buffet, and picked up a small, white envelope. Clarence saw her. Reginald didn't turn. She placed the envelope into her handbag. Poirot watched her face. Calm. Too calm. Poirot said, "That envelope is not for safekeeping. It's for timing. One glare can cut deeper than a knife." Sir Reginald looked straight ahead. He wasn't eating. Vanessa cut her meat slowly, but her expression didn't match the calm motion. "You're wasting your time with this performance," she said. Her voice stayed low. Reginald replied without looking at her. "You don't want me to speak, because if I do, you know what I'll say." Across the table, Clarence Harrow raised his eyebrows. His fork hovered above his plate. He wasn't looking at them directly, but he was listening. Lady Eleanor leaned slightly forward. "Vanessa," she said, "your taste in wine is better than your taste in company." Vanessa turned her head. Her smile was short. "At least I don't drink out of habit." Clarence spoke next, his tone firmer. "We should finalize the deal after dinner. You know there's pressure from the buyers." Vanessa didn't look at him. "There's nothing left to finalize." "The answer is no." Clarence exhaled through his nose. "You'll regret this." Poirot was seated, just far enough to observe, just close enough to hear. His eyes moved between their hands. Reginald tapped his finger against the glass. His jaw was locked. Eleanor's napkin was folded too neatly. Clarence's hand gripped his spoon, harder than needed. The food? Untouched by half of them. Vanessa placed her silverware down. "You'll all get what you deserve, one way or another." Reginald turned slightly toward her. "That sounds like a threat." "Number?" "A promise," she said. Poirot leaned toward Hastings. "Every sentence they say," he murmured, "has something behind it." Hastings whispered back, "Do you think she's in danger?" Poirot didn't answer. He was watching the waiter approach. Vanessa looked at the man. She leaned slightly and whispered something. He nodded, then walked away, quickly. Poirot noticed how Reginald glanced at the waiter's back, just once. Then Vanessa lifted her napkin again and resumed eating as if nothing had happened. Poirot heard her words clearly this time. He can't know what's hidden. It was just after midnight. Most passengers had returned to their cabins. Vanessa stepped away from the main deck. Her heels clicked across the teak floor. She moved alone. No one accompanied her. Her face was still. She didn't look around. Poirot stood at the opposite side of the deck. He wasn't sleeping yet. His steps were slow, hands behind his back. He wasn't looking for anything in particular, but he was always paying attention. He heard the sound of footsteps. Steady, high-heeled. He turned his head and saw Vanessa walking. She passed under the low lights and turned toward the corridor leading to the first-class cabins. Seconds later, another sound came from the same direction. It was lighter. A step, then a pause. Poirot stopped. He waited. A soft door click followed. Not loud, not forceful, but enough to note. Poirot walked forward slowly. From where he stood, he couldn't see the cabin doors. The hallway turned slightly. He kept listening. The waves outside hit the hull in slow, heavy slaps. The rhythm was broken by something else. Short, fast taps, not regular. Footsteps again. He paused near the wall. A gasp. It was short. It was not repeated. Poirot tilted his head. He took 2 steps forward. Silence. He didn't move further. He stood still, listening. Nothing more came. He looked behind him. The deck was empty. He checked his pocket watch. It was 12:16. His eyes returned to the corridor. There was no movement now. Then, just as he was about to turn away, he saw something at the edge of the passage. A flash of fabric. A strip. It was narrow and smooth. A tail of a scarf. It disappeared around the corner. He said to himself, "That was not the wind. The ocean keeps many secrets. So does silk." The steward, Jenkins, knocked twice. No response. He tried again. Still nothing. The door was locked from the inside. He used his master key and entered. Vanessa Worthington was lying on the floor, beside the bed, her face pale, lips slightly parted, her green silk dress wrinkled. One shoe was off. Jenkins didn't go closer. He stepped back and called for the purser. Half an hour later, Poirot stood near the doorway, Hastings behind him. Poirot looked at the body without moving forward. "No one touched anything?" "Not after the steward," the purser said. Poirot stepped in. His shoes made no sound on the carpet. He bent slightly and looked at her hands. The nails were painted. No broken edges. No dirt underneath. Her wrists had faint bruises. Poirot leaned closer to her neck. There was a line, not deep but clear. Pressure had been applied from the front. The skin was marked, not cut. The scarf was gone. "Strangled," Poirot said. He turned to the window. It was open about 2 inches. "Break in?" Hastings asked. Poirot shook his head. "From this height? Number." Poirot moved to the dresser, picked up a perfume bottle, uncapped it. "Jasmine," he said. "Same as last night." He paused. "But this—" He leaned toward her dress. "There is another smell. Faint. Like iron." "Blood?" "Not exactly. Metallic. Not fresh." He scanned the floor. Near the side table was a crumpled piece of paper. Poirot picked it up with a handkerchief. 2 lines. "Pay what you owe, or I speak." There was no signature. He handed the note to Hastings. This wasn't casual. This was planned. Poirot turned to the wardrobe. Clothes hung neatly. Nothing appeared missing. The handbag from last night was on the chair. He opened it. The envelope was gone. He said nothing. Jenkins re-entered. "Sir, no one came down this hallway on the night logs, but there's a problem." Poirot looked at him. "The night log was signed, but the signature looks tampered." "Bring it," Poirot said. Hastings stood still. Could she have written that note herself? Poirot shook his head. The pressure on the folds, someone else crumpled it, in anger. He returned to the body one last time. Kneeling slowly, he looked again at her neck. Something small caught the light. Just below the bruise. He moved her hair gently. It was an imprint, not a wound. A pressed shape. Small, circular, with a pattern. He said nothing for a moment. Then, "A cufflink," he whispered, pressed into her skin. "Lion's head." Poirot stood and whispered, "Whoever killed her wanted her to know exactly who it was." Poirot held the scarf between his fingers. The fabric was smooth but firm. Too fine for standard cruise merchandise. He turned it over and studied the stitching. "Custom made," he said. "French, not British." Hastings asked, "Was it hers?" Poirot shook his head. "Not one she wore last night. That was lighter. This one is thicker." He passed it under his nose. Sniffed once. Then again. "Perfume," he muttered. "Not from Vanessa." He folded the scarf. Placed it carefully into a small evidence pouch. Poirot requested Eleanor Fairfax be brought to the lounge. She entered with measured steps. Gloves on, hair pinned tightly. He offered her a seat. She didn't take it. "Lady Eleanor," Poirot began, "which perfume do you currently wear?" She raised an eyebrow. "That's a strange question." "I prefer strange questions to obvious ones." "Jasmine, why?" Poirot looked at Hastings. "It matches the scent found in the cabin." She didn't blink. "Half the women on this ship wear it." Poirot nodded. "True, but not all of them were near that room. Last night." Eleanor folded her arms. "I was in my suite." "Alone?" She hesitated. "Yes." Poirot didn't argue. "Thank you." As she left, a steward passed by in haste. He leaned into Hastings's ear, whispered something. Hastings frowned. They found Harrow in the laundry compartment. Poirot moved fast. Down the stairs. Left into the rear corridor. Clarence Harrow stood beside a large linen basket. His hands were half hidden. His shirt was wet. Poirot didn't shout. "Mr. Harrow." Clarence turned. "I needed clean clothes. Mine were stained." "By what?" "Wine. Wine." Poirot looked down. A white towel was crumpled on the floor. A dark red patch, soaked into the center. He picked it up carefully with a pen tip. "This isn't wine." Clarence didn't answer. Poirot bent slightly. The towel's edge had fiber. Soft thread, stuck in the fold. He pulled it free. "Silk." "Where did you get this?" Poirot asked. "I don't remember." "You will." Poirot placed the thread beside the scarf in his pouch. He turned to Hastings. "Salt, silk, blood. They do not mix, without reason." They walked back to Poirot's cabin. He reopened the pouch, compared the scarf's color to a photo of Vanessa from the previous night. Different shade, different texture. Poirot said, "This scarf doesn't belong to her." It wasn't the glove that mattered. It was where it was found. A crewman found it at 7 a.m. beside the lifeboat rail. Left-hand glove. Black velvet. Small. Embroidered with 2 letters. F. He handed it to the purser, who handed it to Poirot. Poirot turned it over. "Size 6, he said. "No tears? No salt stains?" Hastings examined the stitching. "Looks expensive." Poirot nodded. "Lady Eleanor Fairfax uses these. I've seen her wear them." The fabric was soft. No sand inside. No watermarks. Hastings frowned. "So it didn't fall?" "Poirot?" "Number." It was placed. They kept walking. Near the lifeboat deck, Thomas the stowaway waited with arms folded. He looked tired, but alert. Poirot stopped in front of him. "Tell me what you saw." Thomas hesitated. Then, "It was around midnight. I wasn't supposed to be there." Poirot didn't interrupt. "I saw someone in a dark cloak, walking fast, toward the first-class hallway." Hastings asked, "Male or female?" "Can't say for sure, but the steps were light." "Small." "Poirot?" "Face?" "Covered." "Poirot?" "Height?" "About as tall as Lady Eleanor. Maybe shorter." Poirot paused. "Anything else?" Thomas nodded slowly. "Yes. As they passed me, I heard one word." "Poirot?" "Which word?" "Amour." Hastings blinked. "That's French." Poirot nodded. "It means love." Thomas added. Voice was low, almost like she was speaking to someone who wasn't there. "Poirot. And the glove?" "I saw something drop. Or maybe it was set down. I didn't move." "Poirot? You're sure it wasn't dropped by mistake?" Thomas looked up. "Number. Too careful. Like it was meant to be seen." Poirot didn't speak. Not for a moment. He turned the glove inside out. The lining was clean. He brought it close to his face. No dampness. No smell of salt. No fibers stuck to it. Poirot said, "Velvet absorbs moisture fast. If it had fallen, it would be wet. But this is dry." Hastings looked at the lifeboat floor. "So, someone placed it? To send a message?" "Poirot. Or to shift suspicion." He placed the glove into an evidence envelope, wrote the initials clearly on the tag. He said quietly, "This glove wasn't lost. It was planted. 1 footprint, 1,000 questions." Poirot knelt down. His fingers hovered over the mark on the carpet. A single heel print. Small, female size. Deep on the right side, shallow on the left. He didn't touch it. Hastings leaned closer. That's a woman's shoe. Poirot nodded. But not a natural step. What do you mean? The angle. She turned too sharply. Or she was pushed. Poirot stood up, looked ahead. They were in the hallway, outside Vanessa's cabin. No passengers nearby. No movement. Poirot stepped sideways, checking floor spacing. Another faint mark. Lighter. Same size. Same shape. Repeated gait. Poirot muttered. She walked with purpose or fear. Hastings. Vanessa? Poirot. Possibly. Or someone pretending to be her. He looked around, then paused. Do you smell that? Hastings sniffed. Lavender. Poirot added. And something burned. Cigar ash. Hastings. But no one here smokes cigars. Poirot. Exactly. They moved toward the stairwell. Near the baseboard, a small piece of fabric, stuck in a corner. Green. Torn. Loose thread frayed at the edge. Poirot used tweezers. Lifted it. He rubbed it gently. Soft. Expensive. Slight perfume. He bagged it. Hastings. Her dress? Poirot. Number? This is from a shawl. Thicker weave. They went straight to Eleanor's suite. She answered the knock herself. Poirot held up the bag. May we see your wrap from last night? She didn't ask why. She brought it out. Green silk shawl. Same color. Same texture. He spread it on the table. No tears. No cuts. No loose threads. Poirot placed the torn piece beside it. Perfect match, in tone. But Eleanor's was intact. Hastings frowned. So, either she replaced it, Poirot said, or someone else had the same one. Eleanor, I've had this shawl for 2 years. It's custom. No one else has it. Poirot didn't react. He stared at the torn piece again, then asked, Do you keep more than one? She paused. Number. Poirot stepped back. He said, Then either this is not yours, or the one you're holding isn't. The ink was dry, but the warning still burned. Poirot unfolded the coat. It belonged to Clarence Harrow. Inside the inner pocket, a note. Folded twice. Same size. Same handwriting. Pay what you owe, or I speak. Hastings. Another one? Poirot nodded. Identical words. But this one's cleaner. He held it up. The paper was stiffer. Ink darker. Fresh, but dry. Poirot turned the corner between his fingers. A dark grey smear marked the edge. Cigar ash, he said. Hastings. From Clarence? Poirot. Possibly. He smokes. He turned. Mr. Harrow. Where did this come from? Clarence hesitated. She gave it to me. Vanessa? Yes. 2 days ago. Why? Clarence looked away. It was personal. Poirot stepped forward. What did you owe her? Clarence didn't answer. His eyes dropped. Poirot. So she threatened you? Clarence. She warned me, not threatened. Yet you kept the note. I didn't want it to be found. But it was. Poirot turned to Hastings. The handwriting matches the cabin note. But here, see the fold? Clean and straight. This was stored, not discarded. He looked again at Clarence. You had motive. She had leverage. Clarence's jaw clenched. That doesn't make me a killer. No, Poirot said. But it makes you a liar. Hastings. What if both were written for different people? Poirot. Same words? Different intent. They returned to Vanessa's cabin. Poirot scanned the vanity table. Jewelry box still sat open. He picked it up. Usual compartments. Necklaces. Pins. Brooches. Then he paused. He turned the box over. A faint groove ran along the bottom panel. He pressed once. Nothing. Pressed again. A soft click. The panel shifted. A thin drawer slid out. Hidden from view. Inside, a single folded page and a small silver key. Poirot whispered, "Now we see who she was really afraid of." Two people smiled in the picture. Only one was alive. Poirot unfolded the paper from the hidden drawer. It wasn't a letter. It was a photograph. Glossy finish. Folded once down the middle. Two people sat at a small cafe table. Vanessa on the left, smiling. A man on the right, his face half turned. One hand raised, holding a cup. The angle caught his cufflink, it gleamed. Poirot turned the photo toward the light. He squinted. Lion's head. Hastings leaned over. "That's the same cufflink we saw earlier." Poirot didn't respond. He just stared. He took the magnifier from his pocket, examined the image closer. The photo was recent. Note the menu behind them. That's Paris, Rue Marcel Café. Hastings. So the man knew her outside the cruise. Poirot. They met before, somewhere private. Hastings. Can you tell who he is? Poirot didn't answer. He only said, "We have seen that cufflink before." He laid the photo flat. Looked at the light source on the man's shoulder. Late afternoon. Natural light. No jacket. Summer or warm season. He flipped the image over. Nothing written. Poirot stood and opened his notebook. He listed initials aloud. Harrow, Bradshaw, Reginald, Clarence. Then he paused. Hastings. Do you recall who wore lion head cufflinks at dinner on the first night? Hastings. Sir Reginald. I remember because I asked him about it. He said it was custom-made. Poirot nodded. Yes, and he wore them with a navy jacket. Poirot brought out the note. Pay what you owe, or I speak. He placed it beside the photo. The message was short, the meaning layered. Hastings. So she was meeting him privately and threatening to expose him. Poirot. Exactly. She wasn't asking for money. She was demanding silence. Why now? Poirot. She had leverage. Timing was chosen. She planned this. He placed the photo inside his notebook, closed it, tapped the cover with his fingers. She was careful. But she left this where someone might find it. Maybe she wanted that. Hastings. Then what went wrong? Poirot. She pushed too far. He turned to the door. Poirot muttered. So? She was blackmailing him. Part 2. Some lies smell like smoke and regret. Sir Reginald poured himself a drink. Brandy. No ice. Poirot watched him take the first sip. I didn't kill her, Reginald said. I never said you did, Poirot replied. Reginald looked tired. Shirt wrinkled. Cufflinks gone. Where were you last night? In my room. Alone? Yes. Anyone confirm that? Number. Poirot stepped closer. Why were you angry at dinner? Reginald didn't answer. He finished his glass. She locked the door. I knocked. She wouldn't speak. You tried to enter her room? I just wanted to talk, nothing else. About what? Reginald sighed. She said she had something on me. From years ago. I didn't even know what. She showed you a photo? Reginald froze, then blinked. What photo? You know which. He didn't respond. Poirot stepped forward. The air between them was heavy. A faint trace of something sharp lingered. Poirot sniffed. Cigar. Reginald. I don't smoke. Poirot. I know. But it's here. On you. Reginald said nothing. Poirot turned and left. Hastings followed. Do you believe him? Hastings asked. Not yet. They walked to the outer deck. Empty, windless. Near a lifeboat bench, Poirot stopped. His eye caught a small tin. Silver, plain, lid open. He picked it up with his handkerchief. Inside, 4 thin cigars. One missing. Brand, Monte Cristal. Foreign, expensive. Initials on the bottom, H. Hastings. Clarence Harrow. Poirot nodded. He smokes. But this was left here. Maybe he lost it. Maybe he didn't. Poirot crouched. Sniffed the wood rail near the bench. Ash. Recent. Still fresh. He stood. The brandy smell. The cigar trace. They mixed. Poirot looked at the railing again. There was a meeting here, he said. And not a friendly one. Hastings. So Reginald and Clarence met? Poirot. Or one framed the other. They returned inside. Poirot held up Vanessa's cabin lock report. No sign of tampering, he said. No damage. No jamming. Hastings. Then she locked it herself? Poirot shook his head. Look here. He showed the mechanism. Small scratch. Backward direction. Someone turned the lock from the outside, Poirot said, with something narrow. Hastings. So it wasn't locked from the inside? Poirot. Exactly. Poirot closed the report and said, No one locked that door, but someone wanted it to look that way. Even the quietest eyes leave a shadow. Thomas stood near the stairwell, quiet, watching. Poirot approached him alone. You were on deck last night, Poirot said. Thomas nodded. I don't sleep much. Did you see anything unusual? Thomas hesitated. Someone dropped something, or threw it. I couldn't tell. What time? Late, past midnight. Poirot? Where exactly? Thomas pointed toward the stern walkway. Near the railing, left side. Did you see the person? Not clearly. It was dark. They wore a coat, hood up. Height? About average. Could have been a man. Poirot motioned for him to follow. They returned to the spot Thomas mentioned. Poirot searched the area. It took 5 minutes. Then his hand stopped. Beneath a bench rail, something metal gleamed. Poirot used his glove to retrieve it. A silver cigarette case. Slim, scratched, but elegant. He turned it over. Engraved words. To A from V. Hastings joined. A for amour? Poirot? Or for Clarence? His nickname in letters. She used it. He opened the case. Empty. Interior clean. Poirot? No fingerprints. Wiped carefully. Hastings? So why throw it away? Poirot? He wanted it gone, but not far. Emotion and logic fought each other. Thomas spoke. They argued that day, in the hallway. Poirot? You heard what? She called him a coward. He said she wouldn't understand. Poirot held the case tight. So, he loved her. Hastings. And she turned on him? Poirot didn't answer. He turned the case again. The hinge was slightly loose. He pressed it. Click. A tiny folded paper dropped out from a hidden slot. Hastings bent down. What is that? Poirot unfolded it. 2 words only. Keep quiet. Poirot stared at the note for a full 10 seconds. Then he whispered. He loved her. Then he feared her. Even handwriting can bleed guilt. Mr. Billings sat stiffly. His fingers tapped the desk. Poirot laid the ship's logbook flat in front of him. This line here, midnight entry, written in different ink. Billings didn't reply. Poirot? Compare the pressure, the stroke. It's forced. Billings looked away. Poirot? You forged it. He didn't deny it. Hastings stepped closer. Why? Billings. I was told to, or rather, warned. Poirot? By who? I didn't see the face. Just a note. Poirot? What did it say? Write this time, or we expose yours. Poirot paused. Yours? Billings nodded. I forged a ship's manifest once. 3 years ago. Small cargo entry, but illegal. Hastings. Someone found out? Billings. Yes. They used it to blackmail me. Poirot turned to the logbook. This entry places Reginald in his room all night. Exactly what they told me to write. Poirot flipped to the corner of the page. A faint crest was drawn under the forged line, just visible under light. A lion with a sword. Hastings. That's unusual. Poirot? Not random. He circled the crest. This was left as a message. A signature. Hastings. To tell us who ordered it. Poirot nodded. Or to frame someone. He called Eleanor to the room. Poirot? Does this symbol mean anything to you? She leaned in. That's the Crestmont lion. Poirot? Reginald's family? She nodded. It's on his ring. Poirot? You're sure? Absolutely. The lion's sword points left. That's their custom design. Poirot turned to Billings. Did you draw this? Number. Did you see who did? Number. Poirot retrieved a file. He opened it. Inside a photo of the ring. He placed it beside the logbook crest. Identical. Poirot? Where is the ring now? Eleanor. It was stolen. Last week, from Reginald's drawer. Poirot stared at the photo. He said, Then someone wanted that crest seen. By force. Everyone was there. No one was safe. The lounge was quiet. Everyone was seated. Poirot stood near the centre table. His hands folded, eyes sharp. Thank you for coming, he said. No one is under arrest, but no one is free of suspicion either. Harrow shifted in his seat. Reginald crossed his arms. Eleanor kept her gaze down. Poirot continued. Let's walk through the timeline again, this time with detail. He pointed to Hastings. Read the entry. Midnight. Hastings. Log states Sir Reginald was in his room. Door shut. No visitors. Poirot. That log was forged. Eyes moved. Tension followed. Poirot stepped forward. Vanessa was last seen alive at 11:40 p.m. dining area. Red dress, green shawl. Her voice was calm, but she was holding something back. He walked behind the group. At 11:55, Clarence Harrow was near her door. He admits, they argued, his blood is on Eleanor's scarf, found in Vanessa's cabin. Clarence's jaw tightened. He didn't speak. Poirot moved again. At 12:05 a shadow was seen on deck. A cloaked figure tossed a silver case into the sea. That case carried an engraved message. To A from V, Hastings added. Poirot nodded. And hidden inside, a note, keep quiet. He looked at Reginald. Sir, your family ring, the one with the lion crest, was engraved onto the log page. It was meant to suggest your presence. Reginald. It was stolen. I told you. Poirot. Yes, but not reported. Convenient? Reginald said nothing. Poirot stepped closer to Eleanor. You identified that crest immediately. You also denied being near Vanessa's cabin, but your scarf was found there, with Harrow's blood. Eleanor's breathing changed. Poirot, were you there when she died? Eleanor looked up pale. She started to answer, but swayed. Her hand trembled. She collapsed back into the chair. Bradshaw rushed forward. Poirot raised a hand. She's fine. Emotion, nothing else. Silence again. Poirot turned toward Clarence. You were in love with her. Then you weren't. Clarence. I didn't kill her. Poirot. But you wanted to scare her. Maybe silence her. Clarence. Number. Poirot, your prints were on the window latch. Clarence didn't blink. Poirot leaned forward. Tell me something. Why hide the scarf? Clarence looked away. Poirot straightened. Here is what I believe. Someone used real emotions to create a fake timeline. He looked at everyone one by one. They made sure Vanessa was isolated, locked the door from outside, planted evidence, framed 2 people at once. He paused. Each of you had a piece, but only one planned the whole thing. Poirot stepped to the center again. He turned slowly, stopped at Clarence Harrow. Poirot stared at him. You planned this, didn't you?